Hi folks, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Brand Life Coaches, and as I had indicated, I was going to be making some additional videos while my wife is out of town. She's coming back this evening. So the day before yesterday we talked about these rash of sexual harassment, sexual scandals that's been happening every other day in our culture. Today, we're going to talk about a garden variety affair. And really, we're talking about the consequences of a garden variety affair. If you don't get in recovery and your spouse isn't in recovery, then really bad stuff can happen. So, this is taken from a blog I wrote back in 2009, and I've updated it to be more current. To be honest, I'm hoping that this video helps to elicit a little bit of fear, healthy fear of the prospect of slipping into inappropriate relationships for anyone, man or woman, who might currently be toying with the idea of having an affair. Affairs just don't happen. You toy with them for months. You might toy with them for years. They don't just happen. Sexual addiction and sexual acting out might just happen, but a garden variety affair is somebody that you've become friends with. You like them, you flirt with them. So this is something that I wrote in 2009. I do not have the writing skills to adequately convey to you the sheer agony, the life-destroying shock, and the core sense of complete betrayal and rejection I've witnessed in my office so many times through the years, as shattered people struggle to deal with the horrifying reality of their spouse's infidelity. 2009, I was living with a fiance who was having sex with another man quite frequently. And so I was being cheated on, but I didn't know it. And but yet I could put those words to it because I'd seen it so many times. You know, I mentioned Tiger Woods and his wife, I think her name is Elin. She grabbed a golf club and smacked him in the head with it. And in our culture, that's okay. If a woman finds out that a man has been, cheating, hundreds and hundreds of times with dozens of women, her whacking him in the head with a golf club seemed appropriate. Nobody questioned it. But think about if it would have been a man hitting a woman in the head with a golf club. It's like he would have probably been arrested, even though she was the one who had acted out. I was in shock and had horrible PTSD and did some reactive things when I found out these horrific stories from my fiance, and I didn't experience any negative consequences from those, but I wonder how many men who go postal, it's because they've either found out about an affair or they have experienced horrific shattering and narcissistic abuse by a real piece of work, and then they sit back and say, he's the problem, he's an abuser. He never laid a finger on her the whole time, but when he finds out she's been screwing the whole football team, he has one moment of rage, and then all of a sudden he's a criminal. I didn't have any problem with Elin smacking Tiger with a golf club. Bit of a tangent there. So the word depression, after finding out about this, doesn't begin to describe the pain. Facing evidence of a spouse's affair is bone-crushing, spirit-wounding, soul-murdering, and it conjures up the deepest, most powerful feelings of abandonment. You experience many times complex PTSD, pain in your chest, hands that shake, trouble sleeping, thoughts of suicide, panic attacks, erosion of your sense of self, cognitive dissonance, hypervigilance, high blood pressure, nightmares, so many things, claustrophobia, just constant generalized anxiety, tearfulness. Of course, the effect on the children is very profound. A weak moment of crossing the line during a midlife crisis can and frequently does break families apart forever. I don't think that a straying parent has ever had a good answer when asked by the child, why? Why are you packing your bags, Daddy? Why are you leaving us? The loved ones, however, are not the only ones who feel the pain. The acting out partner themselves go through a massive amount of personal pain and self-destruction. Many years ago, I worked with a young man. He was a little bit arrogant. He was good looking, had a pretty wife, but he was having an affair with a beautiful woman at work. But he had suffered greatly. And he told me once that, if you hate somebody, they're your worst enemy, wish upon them that they would have an affair, because it's a nightmare. So let me go through the 10 consequences or self-destructive experiences that you can go through if you do cross that line. You have to see the person that you love and you married be completely devastated. I was speaking about men who act out sexually in my previous video about Matt Lauer and Tiger Woods and Charlie Rose, but the truth is, from 2005 until 2007, I wasn't a sex addict, and I'm not a narcissist, but I was a relationship addict, and I did act out. I don't have shame about that, because what it was women came along that were just like my mother, and I'd never really worked on my abandonment issues or my interacting with a vicious, narcissistic borderline. And the energy was just too intense. But nonetheless, when my wife found out, and I have such great respect and admiration for my former wife, she's one of the finest people that I've ever known. But 2 days after she found out, she ran a 26.2 mile marathon and had a personal best. That's a tough woman. And during the days following this, she began to lose her hair. She'd get in the shower and lose great clumps of hair because she had so much pain. And you say, Mark, we've gotten to know you as this victim of cheating, and now you tell us you acted out. What I did was this much sexual acting out. What my former fiance, you can't even fill the room, the house, the neighborhood with, what she did. She was a porn movie. I was just a needy little boy who was addicted to the drama of borderline women. And my former wife, there was nothing borderline about her. But I'll never forget the painful look on her face. Number two, there's a huge social status change when you move from happily married to recently divorced due to being a cheater. Number three, they frequently, as a cheater, as somebody who's going through divorce, they get the opportunity to face fierce legal representatives of their castaway, thrown away spouses. And the sole purposes of those legal representatives is to extract every pound of flesh that they can. Going with that, divorce is a financial nightmare. Men, if you have a good career and your wife stays home and doesn't work, you're going to lose anywhere from 55 to 60% of your net worth. And you'll be paying child support. And in the state of Indiana, maybe for a year, you'll be paying spousal support. Number five, many times the friends of the couple side with the cheated spouse over the cheater, leaving the cheater feeling friendless and socially isolated. Many times the person that you cheated with stays with their spouse, moves out of state, leaves the job, ghosts you. So for a while you had two women, now you got no women. In the case of a man, I know all too well that women have affairs. Even if the woman is the cheater, in the state of Indiana, the husband gets to move into, for what most people can afford, a tacky apartment. There's this place called Pickwick, about 86th and Ditch in Indianapolis, and it's furnished apartments, and they're not all too nice. And many times I'll be talking with a husband who's toying with the possibility of having an affair, and I expound upon the accommodations down at Pickwick and assure him that they're reserving an apartment as we speak. And then many times, at least during the preliminary part of the divorce, you get your kids every other weekend. A wife who has an affair and gets divorced, many times she has to go back to work and she has to sell the house. Number seven, you have an inner sense of shame and regret. That is something that many of them never worked through. It haunts them like a bad dream each and every day for the rest of their lives. And you lose your own self-respect and you lose your integrity. Now, I went through that, but I have a lot of remorse and I have a lot of regret, but I don't have any shame. Because I know why it happened. It didn't happen because I didn't love my wife. It didn't happen because I didn't love my family. It didn't happen because of sex. It didn't happen because I was a cheating bastard. It happened because I was wired to heal myself by interacting with women like my mother. And my wife could not scratch that itch. I do wish I could go back in time. She came to me the day before I was moving out, and she said, "Don't move out. Don't get an apartment. If you need to move out, go live with your brother, live with a friend. Don't move out." And of course, when you're involved, and I was involved with a woman, I never even had sex with her. I was just, emotionally attached. So I wish I could go back in time and cancel the moving truck and not move out of my $450,000 house with a pool and my 3 amazing children and my beautiful, lovely wife, so I could go live in an apartment and hang out with a psychopath who didn't really care about me. But that's what I needed to go through for my growth and more. So then I get on Match.com and I pick a monster, a vicious monster who almost, my complicity in interacting with her almost destroyed me in every way possible. But that's what I needed to do to heal, because on some levels my mother was a psychological monster. Number 8, really one of the most horrific consequences possible, and that's hearing the tears and the wails of your broken-hearted children as you're leaving the house. Now, are my children destroyed because back in 2008 their mother and father and I got a divorce? No, my kids are good, all 3 of them, and they still would be damaged just because, we both have issues. But it would have been better had I faced off with the issues of my mommy issues and worked through them directly in therapy than to act them out with crazy women who cause instability, financial destruction, and emotional abandonment. And I have great regret about that. A consequence that isn't written about much, perhaps because it takes so long to play out, is there's a pattern of adult children wounded by their parents' affair, or wounded by sometimes the spouse who was cheated upon, and they stay stuck in victim mentality. There's a subsequent reenactment and a recreating of that scenario in their own marriages. And I've seen these reenactments over and over and over again, and there's lots of family drama. And if you're abandoned by your father and he runs off with the secretary, and your mom's victimy and you become mom's caretaker, you're going to grow up and you're either going to run away from your family and have an affair, or you're going to be a broken woman's caretaker, or you're going to be one who was abandoned and cheated upon. And number 10, it sure does complicate the holidays and the long-term relationship with your children and with your grandchildren. I just discovered that my ex-wife is engaged, and I'm thrilled with that. She's dating a very nice fellow who treats her well, who doesn't have the instability and the brokenness that I have. And we have a wonderful relationship, and we often get together, even with Renda and my former wife and the kids, and even with her boyfriend. And it doesn't bother me a bit. I'm thrilled that he came along and manned up and took care of my former wife and made her happy, because I was tied up in my illness and I could not do it. So I'm very happy for her, and I'm happy, of course, to be married to Renda. Affairs result in untold amounts of pain and torture and anguish for all concerned over the course of many generations. My nephew, Nathan, said, "When I found out about you and Aunt Lisa, that was the turning point for me. That's when I realized the world was not a safe place." It just isn't natural for a family to break up. It wasn't meant to be. Families are meant to stay together. They're meant to love each other, and they're meant to have stability until forever. That's God's plan A. And any fleeting moment of emotional connection or sexual highs are never even close to being worth to all the pain and all the destruction that happens by acting out in that way. So Hey, if you got a crush on somebody at work, Barney Fife, I've been watching some Andy Griffith show. He says, nip it in the bud. Sometimes people quote him and say he's nipping it in the butt. He's not nipping it in the butt, he's nipping it in the bud. And if somebody flirts with you, get cold, get distant, get uninterested, walk away, build a wall of protection around your heart and build a wall of protection. A couple of these women I've met, and within seconds, back in 2005 to 2007, I knew I was in trouble. And I haven't had that problem since 2007. But if I did, I would cease any contact with them, because I'm a married man, a happily married man, and I'm not going to put anything in my life that will jeopardize the blessing and the stability and the connectedness and the emotional intimacy of my relationship with my wife, Brenda. So don't cheat. Nip it in the bud. Run. In the Bible, it doesn't say, it's cautioning the wayward husband against, the adulterous woman. And it doesn't say, watch out for them hot chicks. It says, watch out for flattering lips. It's the woman who bats her eyes, laughs at your jokes, and flirts with you that's going to get you. And don't view her as somebody to make you happy, as somebody who is the answer. Pardon my language. She's just the bitch that's going to cause you to lose your home and lose time with your children, and you lose your retirement fund. Pardon for the French, but she's not your friend. She's your enemy. She's there to tear you down. She may help you get some work done, but there's better ways to get work done on your family of origin issues than sticking a spear in your own heart and emptying out your bank accounts and turning your back on your children. If you haven't joined our YouTube channel, please subscribe. Also, I do have a book on it. I think it's called the Secret of Saving Your Marriage After an Affair, and it goes into the paradigm shift that I've seen work, where you move the cheated upon spouse away from victim mentality, and both people get busy healing their family of origin issues. I am headed to the beach. It's the sunniest, warmest day that we've had in a while, and I'm going to go sit on the beach. Love you all. Don't cheat. Nip it in the bud. Have a great day.